Hey babe, welcome back to Untamed Ember, where we say fuck shame, light the patriarchy on fire, and flirt with our own nervous systems like the rebel nerds we are. I'm Dr. Misty, certified sex therapist, trauma brain whisperer, and full-time fire starter. Today's episode is about how your body was hijacked, not by aliens, but by systems like colonization, religion, fatphobia, and purity culture. And spoiler, they didn't come in gently. They came with rulebooks, fear-mongering, corsets, and calorie counters. And now we're out here feeling broken for not enjoying sex in a world that told us pleasure equals punishment. So if you've ever felt weird about wanting things, or disconnected from your body, or like you need permission just to feel good, you're not broken, you're scripted. Today, we're going to unfuck that script with some science, some sass, and a whole lot of receipts. Let's go. You were not born ashamed, you were taught to be, and the syllabus was everywhere. Before colonizers brought shame with a side of genocide, many indigenous cultures treated sexuality as sacred. Pleasure wasn't taboo, it was celebrated. Gender was expansive. Erotic joy wasn't punished, it was a portal. It existed in community, in ceremony, and in spirit. But then the colonizers showed up like, looks like sin. Better criminalize it and bring corsets. They showed up with Bibles in one hand, muskets in the other, and a long list of things that were suddenly unacceptable. If it looked joyful, embodied, queer, fat, loud, colorful, nonlinear, or powerful, they labeled it savage. They labeled it sinful. And then they tried to erase it. Queer joy, criminalized. Fat bodies, pathologized. Erotic autonomy, witchcraft, apparently. And this wasn't just about changing the vibes, it was about law. Let's break that down, shall we? Let's talk sodomy laws. These bad boys criminalized any sex act that wasn't straight, married, and focused on baby making. That means oral sex, anal sex, queer sex, even consensual acts between married straight people could be used to prosecute someone. And guess who these laws were actually used against? Queer folks, over and over again. Because morality only polices the margins. Then we had anti-miscegenation laws, a legal term that basically said no interracial fucking, dating, or marriage allowed. Those laws stayed on the books until 1967. That's not ancient history. That's your mom's high school years. And then, babe, then we get to the Comstock laws. And this is where America really said, you know what? Women knowing about their bodies is a real threat. In 1873, a man named Anthony Comstock got big mad about female pleasure and convinced Congress to pass a law banning the mailing of obscene materials. Now, I know what you're thinking. Define obscene, Dr. Misty. I got you. Sex education? Obscene. Birth control info? Obscene. Anything that mentioned orgasms, menstruation, reproductive rights, or vibrators? Obscene. A letter where a married woman said, hey babe, let's do that thing I like tonight? Obscene. The Comstock Act essentially said if women have sexual autonomy, society will collapse. And Congress was like, sounds legit. It stayed on the books for over a century. Even into the 1990s, pieces of it were still being used to fight against abortion access and sexual health education. So when I say the system criminalized pleasure, I mean it, with a stamp of government approval. But it wasn't just colonizers. Organized religion had its own remix. Specifically, Christianity began treating the body like a moral minefield. Lust, sin. Masturbation, sin. Female orgasm, suspicious at best, possibly demonic. The church handed us purity culture, and let's be honest, babe, it didn't start with true love weights and those weird 90s promise rings. It started centuries ago with monks writing in Latin about how women were gateways to sin and how pleasure should be feared, not felt. Men were taught they had temptation. Women were taught they were temptation. And non-binary folks completely erased from the narrative. If you were disabled, fat, neurodivergent, black, brown, trans, or queer, you weren't just excluded, you were demonized. The system treated your body like a glitch in their algorithm, like your very existence disrupted the script. So yeah, babe, this was never just about being polite or staying pure. It was about control, because a body that feels good is hard to control. A body that desires is hard to shame. A body that takes up space is dangerous to systems built on silence. And when they couldn't control you with facts or logic, they used fear. Fear of hell, fear of rejection, fear of being too much. Shame is just fear in a corset. And the patriarchy's been cinching that fucker tight since the 1400s. Okay, so now that we've torched purity culture and roasted the colonizers, let's talk about what all that moral panic actually did to your brain. Because here's the truth, babe. Shame isn't just a vibe. It's a full-body neurological event. Like if anxiety and Catholic guilt had a baby and raised it on diet culture and sexless rom-coms, let's meet the cast of characters living in your skull. The limbic system, your brain's 911 dispatcher. This is the emotional command center of your brain. It decides if something is safe, dangerous, or somewhere in between, like a text from your ex at 2 a.m. Within that system, we've got a few VIPs. Amygdala, the over-caffeinated drama queen. This little almond-shaped part of your brain is always on edge. Its job? Detect threats and sound the alarm. Real threat? Tiger. Shame-conditioned threat? Having desire, showing skin, or thinking about pegging. If you've ever felt a flood of panic after flirting or being turned on, yeah. That was your amygdala pulling the fire alarm because it still thinks desire equals danger. Cortisol, the stress hormone that needs therapy. Once the amygdala freaks out, your body dumps a cocktail of cortisol into your system. This is the same hormone your body releases when you're in real survival situations, like running from a bear or answering your mom's question about why you're still single. But in the context of shame, it gets released because your body thinks being sexual will get you punished or rejected, because it has. Prefrontal cortex, the chill, logical bestie that leaves when things get hot. This part of your brain helps with decision-making, self-awareness, and impulse control. It's the grown-up in the room, but when you're in a shame spiral, it goes offline. So instead of thinking, hey, I'm safe, I can enjoy this, your brain goes, we're all gonna die. Better clench everything and apologize for existing. Oh, and if you're someone who experienced early trauma, your prefrontal cortex might have developed differently altogether. That's right. Shame doesn't just affect mood, it rewires your development. That's why just relax never works. Your nervous system didn't get the memo. Now, let's thread in some polyvagal theory. Polyvagal theory is your nervous system's secret operating manual. Developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, it explains how your body responds to safety and danger even before your brain can consciously process it. Here's the TLDR Untamed Ember style. Ventral vagal, safe and social. You're relaxed, connected, maybe even turned on. Everything feels possible. That's the green zone. Then the yellow zone, sympathetic, fight or flight. You're anxious, reactive, stuck in is this safe mode? Then the red zone, dorsal vagal, shut down and freeze. You go numb. You check out. You mentally leave the chat. Guess what happens when shame kicks in? You slide right out of that safe green zone and into freeze, dissociation, people-pleasing, and emotional shutdown. Your body is trying to protect you from the memory of punishment. This is why so many of us perform during sex instead of feel, ghost our own bodies during intimacy, apologize for being hungry, horny, loud, or complicated. It's not you. It's your nervous system trying to keep you from being burned at the stake because historically, being too alive was dangerous. The good news, your brain is not fixed. It's flexible. That's called neuroplasticity, babe. Every time you let yourself feel something without apologizing, stay present in your body for 1 extra second, choose pleasure over performance, you're rewiring your brain. And the real kicker, it doesn't take a weekend retreat. It takes repetition, slowness, curiosity, and yes, a fuck ton of unlearning. Okay, let's say you've clocked the shame. You've screamed, fuck that, at your inner critic. You're ready to reclaim pleasure like a fully licensed erotic badass. But then, poof, you're gone. Mentally folding laundry during foreplay. Hyper aware of how your stomach looks from that angle. Doing your best Oscar-worthy fake moan while your brain is low-key Googling how to feel something again. Welcome to the land of sensory disconnection. Population, most of us. Remember that polyvagal ladder we talked about? When you feel safe, you stay in your body. You notice touch, temperature, pressure, emotion, arousal, all the juicy stuff. But if your nervous system senses danger, even old danger, you go into freeze mode. Not because you're frigid or broken, because your body once learned that feeling equals threat. Let me say that again louder for the perfectionists in the back. Dissociation is not dysfunction. It's a goddamn survival flex. Your body saved you once, but now it needs an updated user manual. Somewhere along the line, someone probably handed you a mindfulness app and said, just breathe and connect to your body. And your trauma brain was like, I would literally rather die. Because presence isn't always safe. Presence means feeling. And for many of us, feeling was historically followed by punishment, rejection, humiliation, or being told we were too much. So presence got filed under no thanks. So how do you reconnect? You don't bulldoze your way back in. You whisper your way back. You seduce your nervous system back into your skin. Here's how we start. Number 1, pick a neutral zone. Don't go straight for your genitals if you know that's where the panic lives. Start with a place that feels neutral, like your forearms, your scalp, your thighs. Touch it, slowly, with curiosity. No pressure to feel anything, just data gathering. Ask, can I be here for 10 seconds longer than usual? If yes, cool. If not, also cool. That's info. Number 2, name it, don't judge it. If you feel numb, say so. If you feel nothing, cool, that's a feeling. If you feel meh, but slightly interested in also becoming a sea witch, also valid. The point is not to force presence. It's to witness yourself without the lens of shame. Number 3, add one sensory layer. Want to level up? Add a second sensory layer. Play a texture-based game. Silk, velvet, cold glass, warm water. Eat something indulgent with zero apologies. Move your body without the goal of fixing it, just because it feels good. And no, this doesn't have to look like a rom-com slow-mo sensual montage. It can look like eating whipped cream with your fingers while dancing in your underwear to Lizzo. Number 4, repeat without pressure. Nervous system rewiring is not a one and done. It's more like dating your body again. Awkward at first, surprising in the middle, and with the right playlist, eventually hot as hell. You're not trying to achieve presence. You're trying to build trust. All right, babe, now that we've dragged shame through the mud and politely told your trauma brain it deserves a fucking break, let's talk about how we actually rebuild pleasure pathways. Because remember what I said earlier? Your brain isn't a concrete slab, it's a goddamn sponge. A sexy, adaptable, opinionated sponge. And neuroplasticity is your built-in magic trick. It's your brain's ability to change and create new neural pathways in response to new experiences, which means the same nervous system that flinched at pleasure can learn to lean into it, can learn to crave it, can learn that desire is safe. But here's the kicker. You can't think your way there. You've got to feel your way there through your senses. Every time you let yourself slow down and enjoy something without guilt, apology, or calorie math, you're literally rewiring your brain. That sip of coffee you actually tasted, that bath where you let yourself stay in until you pruned like a grandma raisin, that orgasm where you didn't perform, didn't spectate, didn't clench or correct or critique yourself, that's your nervous system getting a whole new script. That's neuroplasticity in heels, babe. That's sacred chaos. That's erotic rebellion. Instead of obsessing over getting present, try weaving in tiny sensory rituals throughout your day. We're talking a single square of chocolate you eat like it's a fucking love letter, spraying your pillow with something that smells like turning the page in a great novel, running a brush down your arm just to see if your body flirts back, touching your thighs with intention instead of critique, whispering to your body, you don't have to earn this, you never did. These micro moments stack. They build new default settings. So the next time someone tries to hand you shame, your nervous system answers back with, I'm busy being alive, try again later. Or not. Okay, babe, let's talk real quick about where the good shit lives now. We're making a little content shift, and the Ember Vault is now the official hub for podcast companion worksheets, deep dive activities, weekly member reflections, and our growing on-demand learning library. You'll also get early access to live workshops and private podcast episodes we've got in the works. This week, we've got 2 spicy worksheets waiting inside the vault. Episode 9 worksheet is Who Wrote This Bullshit and Why Are They Still in Your Head? This one helps you unpack the cultural shame scripts you inherited, rage roast your inner critic, identify who taught you to shrink and why it's time to disappoint them, and rewrite a new body narrative that makes space instead of silencing it. And episode 10 worksheet, fuck around and find out. This one walks you through a guided sensory mapping ritual to locate where shame hides in your body, a pleasure scavenger hunt to explore what actually turns you on, not what Cosmos said should, a choose your own ritual menu of sensory rebellion ideas to start today, and space to name the weirdest shit your body likes, because that counts too. You can get both worksheets now inside the Ember Vault at untamedember.com. It's just $15 a month for access to all worksheets, exclusive activities, and a growing library of videos, behind-the-scenes content, and private podcast episodes. That's it for this week, love. Your nervous system isn't broken. Your pleasure isn't extra. Your shame, it was never fucking yours to carry in the first place. Let's keep rewriting, rewiring, and reclaiming together.